one, a violent vertical ledge setter.
I see some gas on the edge. Get that mindset to put your shoulder on somebody. Dig, drop. You're finished. Hey, burn down. This is weird, kid. Worse than that side.
Well, good morning, everyone. Look at us again on a Saturday morning, afternoon, evening. Here we are getting into some Jets stuff. My name is GreenBean. Welcome to New York Jets Worldwide. I'm happy that you're here. We got lots to discuss today, and I'm excited to do it. We're going to get into, I imagine, Mike White. We may just talk about him, but before we do that, we want to talk about this other guy that I'm staring at right now. He's rubbing his beard. He's doing stuff. And here he comes, my co-host, Jeremy Cravat. How you doing, buddy?
I'm doing good. I'm still not used to the beard, man. The itching. Oof.
Yeah, it goes away. I know people ask me that all the time. They go, how do you deal with the itching? I'm like, there is no itching. I mean, literally, I haven't. Only like if I don't take care of it, like if I am out hiking and all that kind of stuff, and I don't shower for 2, 3, 5, 12 days, then it starts to, it gets crazy. But yeah, it doesn't itch. It's quite a part of my face. Do you have intentions of keeping it going, or what's the scoop?
I don't know. Every day I'm like, I think I'm going to shave it, and then I'm too busy. You don't get around. I don't know. I'm definitely going to shave the top. No matter what, I'm going to keep the beard and see how it looks.
Well, good. I think you look nice. I think you look good. I'm into beards, though, as you know. Yeah. I wouldn't kiss you. That's the thing. I mean, it's my wife likes it, oddly, and it really is like there's a lot of women that are totally into the beard thing. But if I was a woman, I personally wouldn't like it. I don't think, Jeremy. You know what I mean?
Yeah, definitely.
You know what I mean? But my wife does. So, hey, who am I? So what's up, everybody? Captain K Techno is here straight from Ireland, concerned about New Zealand today. I guess they're playing New Zealand. And, hey, it's going to be stressful. But I hope you win, unless there's somebody from New Zealand in here, in which case I root for them as well. But I'm rooting for you, Captain K Techno. Bryant Silla's in here. Howdy to you, sir. New York Jets Tales. Good morning. No pain, no gain. Mark M. Holton's back. It's good to see you, Holton. Matt L. Lots of guys. So everybody, you should know, if you don't, that this we're very into looking at the chat. We want this to be an interactive show as much as we can. So if you have a thought, an idea, or dare I say you have a question,
and it looks like GreenBean froze. Uh-oh.
Can you hear me?
You're back. Okay, you froze for a second there. Well, it looks like you froze again. Well, GreenBean was going to say, if you have a question, put it in the chat and we'll read it and respond to it. So you're kind of narrating the show. You, from the chat, get to guide the direction of the show by asking questions and making comments. So if GreenBean ever gets back in, we'll actually do that. But it's New Zealand winning at the half. So New Zealand now, which is kind of cool.
Can you hear me yet?
You're back. Okay.
Yeah, hey, it happens, man. It's funny. It happened last night, and now it happened again. It hasn't happened in a while, and I should be grateful. I am grateful. This reminds me of what my previous experience was. But sorry about that, everybody. I think we're good now. It does this thing here. Like we go in these little 3-second blips where just all the internet cuts out and then it resets. I don't know why, but it does it like 3 times a day. Usually just like, boom, everything's out. And my kids go, hey, you have internet. My wife goes, there's something wrong with you. And then it all comes back on. So hopefully that's what we are here. So sorry about that. What was I talking about? Oh, yeah, just if you have questions and all that, Let us know. We're into it here, and we'll try to honor them. If you really want to get something in, or you want to give us a little tip, super chats are the way to do that, and we do appreciate that as well. So, Jeremy, tomorrow is a big day. It's a big day for Jets fans. We are getting Mike White is starting again, and there is a really interesting divide taking place in among Jets fans, which are and if I may, I'm going to ask you a question here, but I want to give everybody just a touch of backstory. 3 weeks ago, a large contingent of Jets fans, and I'd say most Jets fans, were absolutely disgusted when Zach Wilson went down. What the Jets have given us as support for that, being Mike White, Josh Johnson, even some of the coaches like Calabrese and all that, people were just livid. How could we possibly go into the season like this? And everybody was very mad. Mike White came in and lit the world on fire. Now, many of those same exact people are now thinking that Mike White is the next Tom Brady and that we found a diamond in the rough, right? So here he goes. He's 405 against the Bengals and beat the 5-2 Bengals out of nowhere. Nobody thought we were going to do it, but we did it really on the shoulders of Mike White. Next week against the Indianapolis Colts, he comes out, looks like it's going to be a shootout, 95 yards in the first 8 minutes, including a touchdown to Elijah Moore. This whole series, probably 6 first downs kind of a thing, and then got hurt. Josh Johnson came in, and now Mike White is back. So where do you stand? Jets fans are now like some are saying when Zach Wilson's ready, he comes back in, this is his team. The other side is saying if Mike White is continuing to win, we might have found something here. You don't stir that. You don't take that progress, those results, and throw them in the trash just because of what you thought was going to happen before that. Where do you stand? Are you in favor of Mike White continuing if he should play well, or are you this is Zach's team. When he's ready, he comes back, no questions asked? Where do you stand with this one?
It's kind of like a how well. If he lights up Buffalo, I mean, Buffalo's been, their defense has just been insane, right? I mean, even in their loss last week, they only gave up 9 points and no touchdowns, right? So Buffalo is insane, their defense. And if he was to play well and okay and respectable, then Zach comes back in, and we hope that he learns something by watching from the sideline. If he lights up Buffalo for 300 plus yards, throws 3 touchdowns, we upset and we win and beat Buffalo, man, that's going to be a tough decision, because how do you at least not want to ride that horse? And because as much as it would be disturbing to me as a Zach Wilson guy, it can't be a bad thing for him to do it, and for Mike White to all of a sudden have this incredible story and just ball out for the rest of the year, because it only puts us in an amazing position at the end of the year. It's like a headache. It's stressful. What's the right decision? But man, it could only be a good thing, because we were talking about it last night. Can you imagine if he balled out the rest of the season and all of a sudden this is a guy we can definitely go with? And what can we get for Zach in a trade? The kind of packages people would offer.
Oh yeah, totally. I mean, look what we got for Sam, Jeremy.
Yeah,
Sam had 3 years of essentially failure. Essentially, there were moments without question, but essentially failure. We got 3 draft picks, capped off by a second-round pick included for him. So what do you think? I mean, and this is rhetorical, but look at what you might be able to get for Zach Wilson, who just last year was a number 2 overall pick, and many teams would have loved to get where we were and take him. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And there's, and as much as people think, oh, he's struggling, there's some really good tape, right? You look at that Tennessee game, you see this. There's shining, lots of moments of him shining in there. Look, it's a very big if. But I think what's cool about the fact that we're playing Buffalo is what a great litmus test. People can say whatever they want about, well, Cincinnati came in dead and totally flat and played horrible. Indianapolis, Josh Johnson came in and did the same thing. So there's a lot of arguments of why don't get too excited, and it's very unlikely he would ball out for 10 games, but at least we get to find out right away. It's not like we're playing the Jaguars or or Detroit, and then it's like, oh, is it really him or is it the fact that we played Detroit? No, we get to play Buffalo and we're going to get our answer tomorrow.
Yeah, that's actually a good point. It makes a lot of sense to start him against this defense because, like you said, we'll get a pretty good idea of his ability to handle it. And even if he loses, you can still see, like, wow, like let's say we lose, 34-30 or something like that, and it's essentially a shootout. And Mike White is on fire, and it's not really his fault that we lost or something like that's just as telling as a win. So yep. I think that's a good point. Craig Safola, what's up, Craig? It's good to see you, man. He says, what's Mike White's contract status? Now, I happen to know. Do you want to give it?
Yeah. Well, he's a restricted free agent, which means, and I believe I don't want to. No one's argued it, so I think that we get to choose. We could slap whatever, like a first round tender on him, like so.
First,
if
second,
somebody. Yeah. Right, we get to choose that, so we can put a first-round tender on them. So that just means that we have a competitive edge in re-signing him, because if for another team to sign him, not only would they have to pay him whatever they wanted to pay him, they'd have to give us their first-round pick in compensation. And for us, there'd be an advantage anyway, because if he was to ball out the rest of the season and he became our guy, it's he's not going to look to jump into a new system. This is the team that believed in him. This is this is the system that's working for him. We're gonna obviously would have an incredible edge in signing him if that was the case.
Yeah. And the interesting thing about it is a lot of people get nervous with tenders, because if somebody doesn't match it, then you are required to pay a certain amount as well. You can't put a first round tender on somebody, nobody comes, and then go, hey, we're going to give you $1 million a year. It doesn't work like that. Like, once you commit to that tender, you are required to pay a certain amount. Now, the interesting thing, and I've heard both sides of this, is that me personally, I don't think it's all that prohibitive at all. I mean, if you put a second round tender on him and nobody signs him, you're required to pay $3.9 million per year. Okay. At least for that 1 year. That's what the second round tender is worth. If you put a first round tender on him, it's $5 million. So paying a competent backup $5 million that's not out of this world expensive. That's not bad. You pay $5 million for second string defensive tackles a lot. You know what I mean? So that kind of stuff. So I don't think it's all that bad. Now, Mike White playing well. This is where Jets fans, I think we get caught up in our emotions really way too often. And this is one of those examples. If Mike White plays well, it really does great things for us, okay? Number one, and least important, you got a competent backup. We don't need to keep playing around with this whole thing. You got a competent backup at worst, right? Number two, if he plays really well, you have trade value, right? So if you do put a first-round tender, think about that. Nobody even wanted this guy 3 weeks ago, okay? They wanted the likes of Mullins over, anybody else but Mike White. And let's just be real here. And the people that were screaming that stuff should own it, but they're not. I'm seeing very little of that. It's as if we never had these conversations. But I remember shit, Jeremy, because I don't do drugs anymore, right? So, so let's say he plays well, and you put a first round tender and somebody meets it and you go, yeah, screw it. Yeah, I'll take the first round pick. And now we get pick 20 in this year's draft. In addition to our other 2 picks, now we got 3 first round picks from a guy that nobody wanted. Okay. In the event you choose to keep him, you're going to get at least a first round pick for Zach Wilson as well. So, or you can just have 2 competent quarterbacks, young, on your roster. Like, there's no bad result here, unless you're emotionally attached to one decision because it's your decision. Like, look, I think the better move is a Zach Wilson getting his time and all. I think that's best case. Like, I think you don't draft somebody with the number 2 pick because they don't have the pedigree and what you want in a quarterback and all that sort of stuff. At the same time, if Mike White keeps playing well, I'm also a huge fan of you don't look a gift horse in the mouth. Like, you don't do that. Just like with Tom Brady, Bledsoe had the pedigree. Bledsoe was a Super Bowl quarterback, all that sort of stuff. And they just said, you know what? This kid, this old man bod, 6th round pick that nobody wanted, didn't even start full time at Michigan when he was up there. The results are in. I'm keeping this guy, and I'm so confident I'm even going to trade Bledsoe to a division rival. And they got a 1st round pick and some other things for Drew Bledsoe. So, like, you don't take results like, a bird in the hand is worth 2 in the bush. I have the results right here. Yes, I might think Zach has greater upside, but if the results are in, if Mike White goes and wins 8 out of 10 games, kind of a thing, like, that's really hard to push away for what you hope. You see what I'm saying? So I just think it's good no matter how you slice it. And Jets fans really should just sit back, put your feet up like this, and just watch a potentially good scenario. If Mike White fails miserably, we still got Zach Wilson, the guy we spent the number 2 pick on a couple of months ago. So it's not a bad situation. Let's see what our chat is saying about this. Flacco, right, there you go. Flacco's making $6 million. So there you go. So $5 million is not exactly bad when you have proven competence. You know what I mean? So New York Jets Tales says, we have Zach for 5 years on the cheap. If White is lighting it up, let Zach sit and learn the speed of the game. That's what I was saying last night when I spent a few minutes with you and Frankie. It's like there's worse scenarios in the world than to have a guy starting and have your Aaron Rodgers just sitting there learning the system. You know what I mean? Like, sure, the rookie quarterback contract is all set up in a way that you want to try to utilize their talents before you got to pay them. And I get it. At the same time, if this is what you're presented, not a bad situation. Let him sit there, learn your system inside and out. If Mike White should falter or get hurt, that's the guy that comes in and then he steals his job back from Mike White. Not a bad deal. Not a bad deal.
Look, to me, the best case scenario is Mike White plays really well, or this is a great scenario in my mind. Mike White plays well, but let's say he doesn't light it up. He plays well, though, against Buffalo. The following week, Zach comes back, and let's say Zach starts to light it up because he learned to do the checkdowns. They're doing the same kind of play calling because LaFleur in the box is improved. The offensive line is gelled. And let's say Zach has some explosive games, some great games, and he starts making us feel really confident. This is the guy we drafted. It's happening. He's getting better every week. He's making crazy electric plays. He's growing and getting better and stronger. And we're starting to feel really good about him being the guy for them. But Mike White never faltered and played really well, even against Buffalo, played good. We put a first-round tender on him because he's worth it as a backup because he's already proved he can keep us competitive. And then a team like, because it's not just a team, who would go for him? Who would give up a first-round pick for him? Who's desperate enough for a quarterback? What if the Washington football team did it? What's their record going to be at the end of the year? What if Carolina, if Cam Newton is total, doesn't have anything left, and now Carolina gives us their first-round pick? So the kind of team Detroit needs a quarterback. I mean, so imagine one of those teams are desperate enough. It wouldn't be Detroit because they're going to probably get the first pick, so it's not worth it for them to give up the first pick. I don't think. But it might not just be the first round pick, number 20 pick. What if it's the number 7 pick or the number 9 pick? Or that would be ridiculous. We could end up with 3 top 1 picks in the top 15. What an amazing scenario! We still have our guy Zach, who got better and better, that we really believe in.
And you still got him. And that's the good thing. That's why people really should be in favor of playing Mike White, especially if he looks good. Again, if he looks bad, then you know. I mean, you lose value and all that sort of stuff. But then you at least have confidence, like, hey, this guy, the ups and downs, he's still a good guy to have on our squad, learning our system and everything. And then he could be our backup. He could be our Pat Ryan for a long time. Like, I see no bad scenario here with looking at this guy right now. No Pain, No Gain checks in and says, if Mike White plays well, keep him in, obviously, and let Zach Wilson learn from him. And I think that's what it sounds like they're going to do, Jeremy. I mean, Salah's answer was not ironclad, but it certainly presented some themes, which is like, hey, Mike ran a, what did he say? He ran a class, or he was textbook running of this offense, exactly what we wanted to do. And he said, we're going to look at it week by week and it'll work itself out organically. That to me says, if he sucks, he's out. If he's in, he's in. If he's great, he's good. Like that's what it sounds like,
Yeah.
So, Nalty, I want to get to your comment too. He says, this is like the United Nations of Jets fans. How did these guys become Jets fans? Well, that's the whole inspiration for this show, John. We've had Captain K Techno on the show before. We've had Gangrene UK, Gangrene Germany. And then next week we have Bismo Charismo from Australia. We were working on Brazil, but the guy he doesn't have this slot available. So anyway, but yeah, that's exactly what it is. I'm fascinated too. Like that blows my mind how these guys sprinkled around the world become Jets fans of all teams. And I see who was it? Hold on, there's a good answer here. Mark M. He says his reason was Kevin Arnold's jacket in the Wonder Years when he was younger. He's in Scotland. Plus he likes green and white, right? There's green and white are colors, up there. A lot of the kilts are green and white. My family kilt color, McPherson, from Scotland and Ireland. There's two McPhersons, but I have a blend of both. The Mix and the Max. Their color for kilt is green and white with a little tiny hairline of red, I believe. So, yeah. But look at that. Kevin Arnold, just watching the Wonder Years, Kevin Arnold had a Jets jacket on. And there it is. You see what I mean? It blows my mind.
I used to love that. I used to love that he had the Jets jacket on. I thought that was the coolest thing.
Yeah. So Gitmo Bob, good morning, Bob. He checks in and says, Mike White is not the guy going forward. You don't spend the second pick of the draft to only hand the job to a career backup. NFL history is littered with Mike Whites. Yeah, I can get that. I just think I think the conclusions are already drawn. I'm not saying career backup. He's been in the league for 4 years, and he's starting from the bottom. He was a 5th round pick starting from the bottom. That's what happens with these guys. Look at so many players that were backups or late round picks, and they need to develop and all that stuff and get their opportunity. There's plenty of those guys as well. And I don't think the story's been written. I get it. I mean, and I agree. You don't use a 2nd round pick on a player not to play him. I mean, the 2nd overall pick, I'm sorry, not to play him. Again, they did play him. He struggled mightily. And then the guy who replaced him literally gave us the best game in the air since since the year 2000, the best game since Christmas of 2000. That's saying something. It's saying enough to play him again against Buffalo, especially when Zach's not 100%. So I think, again, what we've talked about is it makes a lot of sense. All the feelings in here make a lot of sense, and all the thoughts. At the core of it, though, I think best case scenario is to let Zach heal to 100% and play the guy who gave us the 400-yard game in the meantime. That's what it seems to me.
I'm happy because just because for Zach to come back personally, first came back against Buffalo is not exactly the ideal situation. I want him to, I'm hoping this time off is going to reset him. And when he comes back, that's not the defense I want to see. Plus, I always love extra time after an injury like that. Because is it really fully better? Are the muscles as strong around his knee? I just want all those things to be completely, you just protect our guy and make sure he's safe. I just don't want to take any chances with him because we used a 2nd round pick overall on him. I'm a second pick overall on him.
Yeah, and I think what people forget, while that's excellent too, and I'm in favor of that too. Like feeling like you need to play a guy and you take that extra little risk. For the New York Jets, that never works out. Maybe for the Pittsburgh Steelers, that'll be for us. We have negative juju going on around here. If we take a chance, it's going to blow up. So I agree with that. The other thing is, don't forget, we used a number 2 pick on a quarterback because we need a quarterback. We used 3 years ago, used the 3rd overall pick on a quarterback because we needed a quarterback. The year before that, we used a 2nd round pick because we needed a quarterback. None of them have worked out. If we use a 2nd overall pick on this guy, and this guy ends up being the quarterback, we still got a quarterback. You know what I mean? Like that's really the only goal. The only goal is to get a damn quarterback in here. And like we talked about earlier, in the event they both look good or whatever, you can definitely get value for one or the other. You know what I mean? In the event that's what you want to do. And I think that presents a fantastic scenario. And I ultimately think it's going to be Zach. I really do. You know, I think this is fun. This is a lot of fun. And I wouldn't get my panties too bunched up over it for anyone who is. But yeah, I think it's a good time. This is a good time. Snoopy says, I hope the guy is Zach. He was a 2nd overall pick, and that would be such a waste if he isn't the guy. Yeah, I mean, that's kind of what we're talking about. I agree. I do. John Holton says, the thing with Mike White will be how he does once the league has tape on him. Once they get the tape on him and learn how to stop him, or he will overcome. We will see. That's a great point too. Yeah. Don't forget, dude, every single announcer, every single kid, everybody in a pool or fantasy or everyone picked the Bengals to beat us. When no one saw Mike White coming, and that just happens to include the Bengals. You know what I mean? Right. They had no idea that that's what they were going to be facing that day. And they still put up 30 points, man. It wasn't like, it was a game, and it ended up going our way, which isn't always the case. Let's see here. It's Snoopy checks in again and says and Jordan Love has been riding the pine for years and he still blows. Sitting is no guarantee to work, especially if Zach is the type to learn from doing, not seeing. Well, that's the thing. And look, I'll let you say this. I just want to say one thing. The only thing I can tell you is nothing is guaranteed to work. There are quarterbacks to play and suck. There are quarterbacks to sit and suck. But conversely, there are quarterbacks to sit and come in and do great, and there are quarterbacks to play and do great. The only point that really makes is that him sitting doesn't necessarily mean he's going to fail. But we did play him for 6 games, and outside of a couple spurts, he looked bad. Like, let's just call it what it is. And I'm in Zach's corner, but he looked like shit, man. So clearly that wasn't necessarily the results. We weren't seeing the progression. So maybe sitting for a little bit could be that positive. You know what I mean? Like, we don't know either way, but I don't think it's a signifier one way or the other. What do you think?
Well, Jordan Love only sat 1 year, and that's because Aaron Rodgers was on the team, because he was a 2020 pick. Who they traded up for, but late in the first round. So he wasn't a guy. I mean, San Francisco gave up the farm to trade up, and get Trey Lance, and knowing they weren't going to start him, right, for the first year. So, for them to trade up into the late first round and grab Jordan Love, and it was no doubt they were going to not start him. It could just be that Jordan Love isn't going to be a good quarterback, and that's why he was going to be a 2nd round pick if Green Bay didn't trade up, and that's why he didn't go in the top 10, and that's why every Green Bay fan there was extremely pissed off when they took him. So it's hard to make direct comparisons like that, So I think that with Jordan Love, the issue might just be ability and just the ability to process the game. Whereas with Zach, I think the issue might be he's playing hero ball and needed to see the offense work when you're willing to just take what the defense gives you.
Yeah. See how well it works. Like, I know coaches can, it's like talking to your kids as a parent. You can tell them this, hey, don't do that. Don't do that. This is what's going to happen. And they go, they listen, but they're still going to do what they want until it blows up in their face or whatever. And like, I think Zach sitting back and seeing like, holy shit, the things that they were telling me to do actually do work and work well. That might be a really good opportunity for him. Anthony checks in and says, if Mike White beats the Bills at home, it's over. The legend will be official, and there's no way you can take him out. Absolutely no way. And I'm going to say I agree. I think if he comes out and beats Buffalo, so Mike White's 2 games that he plays full, so if he plays the full game and beats him, If he comes out and beats the 5-2 Bengals and the 5-3 Buffalo Bills, the anointed AFC East champions, it's going to be official. I agree. And we're just going to, until he falters, I think so too. And I don't think it means anything for Zach. It just means we're riding a hot hand,
Yeah.
Steven Sitchell checks in and says, Zach looks less promising than Sam did his first year. What do you think about that, Jeremy? I have thoughts.
I don't agree. I mean, he had a good game against the opening game against Detroit, minus the interception when he threw across the field to start his career. I thought he didn't really progress after that. I think it was a different situation too. If you look at, Zach had, rookie head coach, rookie offensive coordinator, new scheme, new system. Offensive line was just in shambles when we started the year, the first 4 games. I just think it's, different situations. And I think he was, again, trying to carry too much on his own shoulders and needed to learn something. Whereas, and again, it's not like Zach was bad every game. I mean, I thought he did fine week 1. I thought his first game was fine. Like when the second half and the offensive line started to actually block for him, he had 2 touchdowns against a very, very good defense. And Tennessee aren't slouches, and we saw what he could be. To me, it's about moments of shining, showing that look what I could do in this league. Look what I'm capable of. And with him, we're seeing what he can do when he did play hero ball and it worked out. We saw, wow, he could make tremendous plays. How good is he going to be when he learns the difference? So when you need to do that versus when you need to just get the 8 yards, when you need to just get the 6 yards, when you need to take the little things. And then those moments where you need to then roll out and go deep. And there were just little moments that excite me about him. Like, I never saw Sam Darnold take command in his first 5 games to where he actually, as he's being chased, reads the defense and tells the receiver to go deep because he sees the safety cheating, right? And he knows that he can get him deep. Like, there are certain little signs to me. So I just don't think you can compare the two because, Sam's problem might not be the way he started his career. It's that he never, ever got better, right? And if anything, he got worse.
Well, I mean, Sam did get better by every measurable from his first year to his second year. And I think Sam's real progress came the last 4 games of his first year. Even though he didn't win them, he looked, the games against the Texans and the Packers and all that, he looked fantastic. And that was after his injury. When he came in after his injury, he played amazingly. But here's the thing with, so early. Like, I got into a discussion with somebody about Bowles. Like, somebody said to me, we should have never let go of Bowles. And I said, okay, because of Salah's experience so far. And it's like, okay, well, here's the thing. I would rather, and I mean this sincerely, I would rather a coach and GM come out and start from the ground floor than what McCagnon and Bowles did, which was go sign Revis, Gilchrist, Cromartie, Brandon Marshall, all these guys, and built us in a 10-6 illusion that first year that didn't even make it to the playoffs. Let's remember that. Even though we were 10-6, that was a complete fallacy. It was not sustainable. It was not real. It was a whole bunch of expensive free agents, and that just for 1 year. And don't forget, that was supposed to be Geno Smith's team. A lot of crazy shit happened. He got his jaw broken, and Fitzpatrick, of all people, just came in and was Fitzmagic for a little bit. That's what we saw. I would rather do it this way and be 4-13 than I would 10-6, having some illusion that we're good, and then the next 3 years are a complete shit show. Because don't forget, Todd Bowles, while everybody likes to look back and say, oh my God, what a missed opportunity we had, he was really great. Todd Bowles hired 3 offensive coordinators in 4 years, 2 of whom were retired when he hired them. Okay. So that's how bad of a coach Todd Bowles was. And he looked lost in games. Now, fine defensive coordinator, but looking back with revisionist history, I think is silly. And what this regime has chosen to do with all the rookies starting and kind of cleaning the cupboards and trading for draft capital and all that, they've chosen the longer, more thorough, harder, more difficult approach. And that is, hey, we're going to develop young guys. We don't care if we win the first year. It's about development. And if Mike White ends up coming in, unbeknownst to them too, believe me, they think it's Zach too. If Mike White comes in and just steals the show, then it is what it is. You know what I mean? The rest of the team needs to develop as well. And we're getting an opportunity to see Elijah Moore and Michael Carter and ABT on the field longer because we're able to take those short passes and keep drives extended. And I think that has value, man. And if they see that value, it's still, even if they play Mike White the rest of the year, it doesn't mean that they don't think Zach's the guy. It doesn't mean it. It just means like, hey, right now, Zach could stand to learn here. And this guy's given our other players more time to develop. So let's do that. You know what I mean? Like that's what they're doing. They've taken the long road. So I wouldn't take anything as being indicative of the end result. You know what I mean?
And it's still such a big hypothetical because
we've
seen Mike White for a game and a half. Josh Johnson came in and threw over 300 yards and 2 touchdowns. I'm not trying to rain on the Mike White parade. I'm just saying it's a huge hypothetical to like it. We there's a lot to prove. It's way too soon to just think this is how he's going to play. I hope he does. It's a great problem to have, but I don't. I mean. There's guys who've come in before and looked really good for a game or two, and people get excited about them, and then reality hits.
That's right. Mm-hmm. Totally. It happens all the time with all kinds of positions. It really does. And I think again, we just said like AC is saying here at the bottom, at the end of the day, all we want is a quarterback. I don't give a shit if his name is Todd Tall Boy. I could care less as long as he's a quarterback. And like AC says, the Jets could bring in Keanu Reeves from that. I don't care. Movie. Yeah, you remember that? What movie was that? The
Replacements.
The Replacements. I was going to say the Untouchables. I knew it wasn't right. Yeah, it's like that. I just want good quarterback play, and that's what it is. We're Jets fans. We've only known Zach for a few months. Don't make him out to be your soulmate. You know what I mean? If he is great. But don't look. If you got a girlfriend and you think the world of her, and then another girl comes in your life and blows your doors off and has everything everything. And just because you thought this other one was the better one, like you take it, you know what I mean? Maybe not the best example, but it's like, try not to ignore when greatness is in your presence. If that is what it is, or just success for that matter. So New York Jets Tales says, I'm looking for a Mosley revenge game in Buffalo tomorrow. Now we're talking my language. This quarterback stuff is for the birds. I like talking linebackers and defensive ends. What do you think of Mosley? I mean, the last game, I don't think it's really arguable. He did not have a good game. You think is there a revenge game coming? You think he's aware of how bad he played and he's going to let us know that he's back kind of a thing? What do you see happening?
I hope so. Overall, I'm disappointed. If you said overall for the season, only because he hasn't forced turn. Like I thought he was going to come back. Like, and I was hoping for kind of like this dominant player. Now I know he's better than sometimes. Like forget PFF. I mean, people who were at the games are saying you don't understand. He's all over the field. He's doing it all himself. So I'm not saying he's horrible, but I'm kind of disappointed I was hoping for bigger things, strip sacks or strip tackles where he's getting fumbles and things like that he'd have a pick or two by now. But I'm wondering if he means when he says revenge game in Buffalo, is that because he got injured in that game against Buffalo, that or if he's talking about just revenge game for the way he played last week.
I would imagine. I think it's the latter. But
either way, I think he's going to have a big game because I think that his pride is hurt, and I think that he's never a doubt he's going to hustle, but I think he's going to play well. I think he's going to play really well. I think he's embarrassed and he's not happy with himself, and he's going to play well.
I think so too. And even if you are mentioning Jets Tales, the Buffalo game where he got hurt. Same result, same answer for me. I think the answer is yes. I think we're about to see a focused and driven CJ Mosley, which would only be to our benefit as long as Ulbricht can put him in schematically, put him in the right places. Gitmo Bob followed up to his point before. He said career backups like Minshew, Foles, and Garofalo. I will remind you, Bob, that 2 of those quarterbacks have brought their team to the Super Bowl. One is a Super Bowl champion. So I don't know how well those support your point. I get it. I get your point without the example. But I think, again, if one of those, and Garoppolo is starting now, isn't he still starting in San Francisco? I don't know. But I would say that if Mike White can bring us to the Super Bowl this year and never be heard from again, I'd ride that bus. I would. I'd ride it.
Also, it's like career backup, but he never got a snap in the NFL before. So it's not like Washington signing Fitzpatrick and thinking they're going to go to the Super Bowl. I mean, it's a little different than that. You're talking about a guy who's still really young, right? What is he, 24, 25? It's, he never
26.
got a
26.
Okay, he never got a chance. Like, he never got a chance. And then when he did, he played really well. And I think it's a big hypothetical. I agree. But if he was to if he comes in and plays Buffalo and throws 300 plus yards and lights it up and he's balling, then it's, that's just something that happens. It's like, then you find out, oh, he's not really maybe a career backup.
Yeah.
Like,
right.
And I'm not saying that. I'm not saying one game is going to prove it completely. I'm just saying, what if he balled out for 10 games? Like, what if he just goes crazy the last 9 games of the year? Then maybe it's this just crazy story where, like Dallas is punching themselves in the face and, and it's like, just nobody knew.
Yeah. I think, that's really a good point. I mean, it's not like he's been a journeyman backup. I mean, he's passed around a little bit just because he hasn't had the chance yet, and, look, don't forget, Jets fans ridiculed this staff for putting faith in him. And I think even that 400 game, if it just stands by itself, the staff has been vindicated with their choice, undeniably so. Now, I think they weren't even as confident in their choice, evidenced by the trade for Flacco. So there's a little bit of both. But again, I think, he's never had a chance. So let's just see what he does. He's done well so far. His first, against 2 teams, two different defenses. He came in, threw for 405, came in the next week, had about 5-6 first downs, 95 yards and a touchdown in the first quarter, which is so far this season not happened for us until Mike White. I think that's worth considering, even if we believe in Zach, which I do. It's still worth considering. Trying to take it away, I don't think is really the way to do this. So let's see what else we got here. Let me back it up a little bit. Oh, Bob. Hey, Bob. Yeah. LaFraud. There it is. I love it. As soon as I see that, I got to put the comment up. LaFraud, play calling with Zach Wilson, run, pass, punt with Mike White. He hasn't called plays that way. Zach Wilson. I know. And we talked about this last week, Bob, a little bit. I think, again, he hasn't, just in LaFleur's defense, and I don't want to defend him because I felt the exact same way. And I don't think LaFleur has done a good job developing Zach Wilson so far. I just don't. And he deserves a lot of heat for that and a lot of criticism for that. At the same time, Zach, there were many opportunities for Zach to hit the Michael Carter, hit the screen, hit the short slant. And we could have extended drives and seen a development of a game plan. But we didn't because Zach, and LaFleur is at fault. The other side of it, there were more than enough plays given to Zach for him to capitalize on something simple, and he didn't do it. So it goes a little bit hand in hand there. And I think Zach Wilson didn't necessarily give LaFleur an opportunity to do that in the same way that LaFleur didn't really take cares in the early going to develop Zach and then the offensive line and everything else. Don't forget, Mike White didn't deal with that same 15 sack couple of games that Zach dealt with, and he didn't deal with as many drops and everything else. So there's a lot there.
I'm interested though in seeing Zach in the way the last 2 games have been going, like no more 21 personnel, Michael Carter being used as a safety valve more often, because I think it's like, yeah, it might be the same West Coast offense, but the play calling and the way they're going about it is different. Because I don't remember Carter, like, I remember him staying in and blocking more and not going out and being that little dump off safety option. Also, what we don't know is even you could have the same play, but that same play could be ran very differently. So the progression could be in a different order, right? So Zach may have been looking for apparently Davis first, which is a harder pass, like deeper down the field, versus the progression might have been Elijah Moore, who's doing a shorter route. I mean, we just don't know, like, where's the quarterback looking first? Who's his primary? Who's he checking down to? So I'm just interested to see if they call the same exact game or style of game for Zach than they did for Josh Johnson and Michael White, whatever those subtle differences are, how that's going to look for Zach Wilson. It's a curiosity thing for me.
Yeah, and I'd be curious too. Now, Fire Joe Douglas, I'm gonna put this up there to tell you that I'm not gonna do that for you. That sounds like a lot of work, and I'm not gonna go through Salah's history and figure that all out for you right now. If you did that, if you want to do that and give it to us so we can talk about it, I'm in. Okay, it's not that I'm not interested, and I did my research on Salah when we were interviewing him, and I made videos about it and all this kind of stuff. I believe last year his average, I think it was 23 points a game, something like that. But the defense at the end of the year was 10th with all the injuries. The year before he was 5th. So we can look at all of his 30-yard games and all that kind of stuff. But at the end of the day, enough good happened that he was a very, very successful defense. But again, if you want to do that work for me, and we can talk about it, I'm in. But I'm not going to be doing that while running the show and all that kind of stuff. And I apologize, but just can't do it.
I do want to say is what I look at is things like when Seattle was at their best defensively, he was there. When Jacksonville had the best year in their history and, and almost made it all the way and looked like they were going to be a real team that's going to jump over the New England hump. Guess who was coach in the defensive staff in Jacksonville? Then he came to San Francisco, and their defense was one of the top ones in the league, and they went to the Super Bowl. So there's a lot of winning on that resume. There's a lot, and if you ask Jacksonville fans, and I happen to know one, ask them how they feel about Robert Saleh and him leaving, and how the players there felt about him the year that they almost, when they went all the way I think of the AFC Championship game.
Well, it's like how a lot of us feel about Tony Oden right now. I mean, the guy is fantastic. He's our defensive backs coach. And the job that he's been given, while it doesn't get any headlines, nobody ever talks about him. He gets like 2 interviews a year. It's like when they do assistant coach interview day. But guys like myself who dig into this shit, Tony Oden is an unsung hero on this defense. Now, the defense last few weeks is getting has been having difficulty, but don't forget, he's dealt with more rookies than any other positional group. He has had as many injuries, if not more, as any other positional group. And he has kept these guys playing very, very good football. And that's how Jacksonville fans kind of felt about Robert Saleh as their linebackers coach. Another thing I can tell you, Fire Joe Douglas, is that the first year Saleh was the defensive coordinator in San Francisco, it was a complete shit show. And many fans, like, the outcry was to fire him. The outcry was that this guy sucks at his job, his first year. Now, that's the stuff that I found when I did my Saleh dig prior to us looking like we were going to, like we might hire him. I wanted to know him better. And like, I'll be honest, I don't keep track of every coach in the NFL. Don't forget, this is a pastime for me, not my job. You know what I mean? So if it was my job, I'd know every fucking thing. I swear to God, I would. I would know everything. I'd be the best in the world. If this was my job, nobody would know everything that I know. Okay. But I can't do that right now. So, but anyway, that is the truth. Like, a lot of the things that I found were his first year, many, many fans and reporters and the like did not think he was the man for the job, and he turned it around. So that all said, I think, we gotta give people time, man. Again, especially when they've chosen the hard road. You can't criticize somebody for the difficulties they've chosen. to say, hey, it's going to be difficult, but I'm going to teach these guys how to get through it, and then go, it's difficult, you suck. You know what I mean? So, anywho, so AJ Jets UK, what's up, buddy? He says, good. Oh, I'm sorry. He does not say good. He says, guys, moving the chains creates fluidity in the offensive line, and that creates momentum. I could not agree more. And that's, I think, one of the benefits right now, even if Zach is our guy. Let's say Zach, without question, is our guy moving forward. But right now, he's not putting it together. You can see he's glazed over a little bit. He's having difficulty. Having a guy in there that's just simplifying things and doing it better does allow you to evaluate other guys, because we are having extended drives. We are seeing the playbook get a chance to be opened up a little bit. And therefore, you can evaluate guys like Elijah Moore, Michael Carter, Keelan Cole, Elijah Vera-Tucker, the offensive line as a unit, and all that. There's a lot of stuff that needs to happen. And if you have one guy who's just struggling, even though he is the most important piece of this, the truth is that there is the rest of the team, and we are all young. We are all new. The systems are new. The coaches are young. So we do need an opportunity to see all that stuff. And I think that's where some of the benefit is coming, it's coming into play. Let's see what else we got here. AC, I agree, buddy. He says, you'd be better than the beat reporters we have been. I would, AC. I agree. I would. I can do anything. I'm telling you. These guys, they should give me a shot. That's my ultimate goal. I want to infiltrate and get in there and tell the truth. And not the truth. I don't need to tell anybody secrets or anything, but I'll ask real questions, man. Who gives a shit about how Zach Wilson feels about Mike White? I could seriously care less. I could not care less. But I do care about schemes and what they're working on, all that kind of stuff. That's what I think we need to know. And I don't give a shit about somebody's mother. Like, I don't care. And that's the questions they ask a lot of the time.
Well, I think combined, like on YouTube, like the Jets fam, and with Matt and Ryan and you and Frankie and John, like we kind of have a better reporting system than any of the major news outlets combined. Because I saw that question and I thought, Greenbean, what you would have said, you could say is, look, this is a pastime for me, but I could bring Frankie on in the future and he can answer that question, because that's the kind of thing he'll do. He'll put those spreadsheets together. But look at the team. Like, this is just a team of us all that will do it. I'm the guy. My role is to be the guy you laugh at, right? I mean, every show, every TV show, every series you watch, there's always like the guy that has to be the
funny looking guy,
the butt of the joke, right? The guy, so I'm like the Rich Samini of the YouTube provider content. But
I wouldn't take that one.
No, I'm not just kidding.
But that's a good point. Yeah. Together, if you do stick around, a few of us together, you get a very, very well-rounded package of what's going on here. Now, Jeremy, I want to add something else. Now, a lot of guys don't know this. We have a lot of fans have the amazing ability to forget the past and how difficult things were and are and all that sort of stuff. Now, in 2000, I think it was 2013, the Jets had Rex Ryan. A lot of people are still calling for him to come back and all this kind of shit. And people do undervalue how difficult it is to play here for the New York market. I want to share something. I don't even know if you've ever seen this. I want you to hear how bad Jets fans really get. Okay. Are you ready for this? I'm going to share. This is good. Oh, I got to take my Bluetooth off though. Hold on. Let me share. Hold on. Bear with me, guys. You're not going to believe this shit unless you're one of the guys yelling it. But hold on. Let me take my Bluetooth off so you guys can hear it for sure. Can you still hear me, Jeremy?
Yeah. I can hear you.
Can you see the screen here?
Yep.
Okay. So guys, check this out. This is what this is what the New York Jets deal with walking out of the tunnel when we play poorly. Walking into the tunnel, I should say.
You are pathetic! You guys are a disgrace.
Tebow, I want you in the second half. I want you
Tebow, Sanchez, you piece of shit.
Come out after half.
I thought that would be interesting. And let me tell you something. That is not an isolated incident, dude. I have sat down there. I've been right where they are. I've been right there, man. And I can honestly tell you that I always found it a little bit off-putting, even though I was a drunken loudmouth. I really was. Even what they're doing, I never could get into. I used to zero in on one guy and say things like, you suck and stuff like that. But what was happening there, dude, that happens all the time with Jets fans. That's how bad we can really be.
That was brutal.
Dude. Don't even come out in the second half. Sanchez, you piece of shit.
Can you ever, I got to tell you honestly, no matter how mad or upset I am, there's no way from that proximity that I could do that to another person.
That's what I'm saying.
There's just no
I have been a drunken, loudmouth, bar brawling idiot. And what I've seen down there, I've been like, ooh, you know what I mean? Like, I've sat behind the visitors bench too and been with people that for 3 hours yelled the most despicable slurs and just at the visit. Like, they would turn around and go, "Are you kidding, man? That's right. I'm the guy. Fuck you." Like, all that. I'm like, dudes, calm down. But that's what they deal with. Yeah. And that's what Captain K Techno says, comes with the territory. But I don't think, and I agree, but I don't think a lot of people realize just how venomous we get. You know what I mean? So how difficult it is. So when Zach's throwing, 3 picks in the first half against the New England Patriots and we're booing them and everything else, that's nothing. The boo is nothing. The boo is just like, hey, dude, we're not happy with this. It's that. It's walking out and people throwing sandwiches at him. It's his third game or second game as a pro. And people were literally going on social media and DMing him and writing, "You're a piece of shit. They should have never wasted a second pick on you." All that kind of stuff.
Second game of his career.
Second game. Yeah, that's how it goes. So that's Jets fans are nuts, right? And it's just a funny thing, I forget myself. So, I don't know if you know, but there was an old pastime at Jets games, and I've seen it for 20 years. I mean, it wasn't a one day. Every single Jets game that I went to for 5-6 years, we would go out at halftime and we smoke a little pot on the circles, on the turnstiles at Giant Stadium. There were these turnstiles. These circular walkways. And in the middle of them, see, when you have a circular walkway, it causes a little tube of space that goes down. And there's a little there's a concrete down there, or a blacktop. Every single halftime for 5-6 years, and every other time I went other than that, at halftime, we'd be smoking pot, and people would literally start taking money, little crumpled up dollar bills, and throwing them down the hole. And you would hear, "Get the money! Get the money!" And this happened every week, Jeremy. And people would throw coins and dollars. And you look down there and there's there's a good $20, $30 down there right now. I mean, it's
Yeah.
And then every single week, some fan, most of the time, with another team's jersey, would run in there and try to scoop the money. And everybody would take, dude, I mean, chocolate shakes, Cheese Whiz, every fucking thing in the world, and just blast them. It was they're covered in schmutz. You know what I mean? It was every week. It was one of my favorite things. Let's go watch the guys. I never threw money. Not once did I throw $1 down there. But it's that was what we did. Get the money.
The dumbest thing, and it's probably the same fans that did this to this guy, the dumbest thing I've ever seen somebody do was, there are rules in Yankee Stadium. And when you play the Red Sox, there are people who wear a Red Sox hat or jersey or shirt or whatever in Yankee Stadium, and they probably take a lot of crap for it.
Yeah.
But the one rule is you don't come into the bleachers.
Yeah,
you
yeah,
don't
bleachers.
You don't go to the bleacher creatures with a Red Sox hat. You
Totally.
just don't do it. And I'll never forget. I took my wife is a Yankee fan. I'm a Met fan, right? I got her into baseball. She turns on me and becomes a Yankee fan. And she did the same thing with the Jets and the Giants, right? She likes the Jets, but she buys an Eli. She made me order an Eli Manning jersey. Same crap.
Yeah.
So this guy comes walking into the bleachers up the aisle with a Red Sox hat on, and I've never seen anything like it. Just what you said, like cheese fries, beers, sodas, hot dogs. I mean, it got to a point where he was covered with stuff, and then somebody dumped popcorn on him, kind of like when you
like tarred and feathered.
Tarred and feathered. And the guy takes off the hat, and people started clapping, and then everything stops. People stopped throwing. They would basically like just take the hat off, dude.
Dude, I've only not sat, and I've been to probably 20 Yankee games over my life, and I've only not sat in the bleachers 3 times. Like every time, like that was what we did. We went to the bleachers. So I mean, I wouldn't have identified myself as a bleacher creature, but I was there all the time, right? So my friend, a big, huge, fat guy, huge, just the fattest guy you ever saw. His face was all, like just one of those typically fat dudes. His name was Dan McGlynn, God rest his soul. He wore a Flyers jersey. Flyers, hockey, same thing, dude. We got into an actual fight with guys we knew because of his Flyers jersey. We had to like defend him. It was like probably like 6 or 7 of us. We got into like literally pushing and shoving and some headlocks and shit with guys we knew because he was wearing a Flyers jersey. It wasn't even fucking Red Sox or anything. Dude, it's right. There are rules. New York sports fans are not right. And it gets ugly in there. So let's see here. So Scott Wilson checks in and says, personally, I still hold my beliefs from preseason. It's called growing pains. Salah and JD are building something here that we will bear the fruits of very soon. And I got to say, that's exactly how I see it. That's exactly how I see it. Again, when people like we have these discussions, and people like Fire Joe Douglas is here, right? And I like him, and he has some good things to say. But even his moniker, it's like, okay, he's clearly on one side of things, which is fine. But when people look at Joe Douglas, just as an example, and they say, look at Ryan Khalil, look what he did. Joe Douglas clearly has had a period of time to tear this piece of shit team down that we had. And he's just really started building. And like if you can't see that, like if you think Ryan Khalil is a good knock on Joe Douglas when he was literally handcuffed and had to talk someone out of retirement to try to fix this atrocious offensive line, I don't know where you're coming from. I don't understand. So when you talk about Salah and Zach, and you say these guys are dog shit, it's like, dude, we are a handful of games into their career. A handful of games. I don't understand how we can draw firm conclusions on any of these guys. Just like the 2020 draft, it's a complete waste. It's a bunch of busts. Like, I don't know. I can't get with that. I'll talk to you about it, but it's like it doesn't sit well with me because I know it takes approximately 3 years, sometimes even longer, to really get their legs underneath them in the NFL. And we've already seen some really good positives, whether it's Becton, Mims, other than this last game, Bryce Hall, obviously Mann. Like there are guys in there with other guys that have potential. And it's just, you got to give them time, like Scott is saying. These are growing pains. They took the hard way. They didn't go out and blow the doors off in free agency.
Don't forget that Ashton Davis was our highest rated player last week on PFF. Also, don't forget that undrafted free agent in 2020, Bryce Huff, undrafted free agent Javelin Guidry. I don't understand the criticism of Joe Douglas from 2020. And also blaming, like the whole Becton thing, somebody rolled on his knee. There's not an offensive tackle, a left tackle in football that wouldn't have had the same injury had that exact thing happened to them. I mean,
Yeah,
so
I mean,
it just doesn't make any sense.
You could say it's because he's so super strong that it wasn't torn. I mean, it was a
Right.
strained ligament as opposed to a torn ligament. When looking at his face that day, he was convinced it was torn. You know what I mean? He was like, that hurts, that's bad, and I'm in
Right.
trouble. You know what I mean? So
Right.
yeah, I get it. I mean, I understand results and all that and wanting results right now. I want them too. I mean, I watch this because I want to have fun. I want to see wins and all that. So I get it, but I think if you can flip your perspective and look at it for what it really is, what's really going on, that's just as fun. Like just picking some guys and watching their development. Go, yeah, man. We have some talent on this team finally. When's the last time a general manager's first 4 picks in the draft look like they're actually going to be something? You know what I mean? I mean, that doesn't happen for us. 4th round picks might as well be 15th round picks for us. It's very rare. And right now, our 4th round pick is 2nd in the league for missed tackles by running backs. I mean, that's saying something, man. And,
Right.
it's like, anyway, so Elijah Moore and on and on and on. AVT is an absolute stud cake. I mean, I love him. So,
Michael Carter II. And by the way, Scott Wilson, I don't know if you know this, GreenBean. He's watching now at 9:09 a.m. his time because he's from California too. He's one of my California Jetsfan. So it's pretty cool that he's up in the morning this early.
9. So it's 9, but 9, 10, I guess so. Yeah, 9. What time do we start here? 8? Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, and Big Green says JD's a boss at trades, and I get it. I mean, I agree, dude. And when's the last time you had a GM that number one, you never hear a damn peep about what he's doing until it's done. That's the only time we hear anything is when the other sides are trying to, get it out there so they can position it or something like that. We heard a little bit about Morgan Moses, but other than that, man, you don't hear shit. And then when the trade comes in, you go, what? How did he get 2 firsts, a third, a player? What? You know what I mean? For a guy who can't catch, 2 years later, he doesn't have 1 interception.
Yeah,
it's crazy.
He's a great GM. I like so far to me. I think he's doing a great job. I'm excited. And I think like with a GM, it's more of like a historical thing. Like we'll know the answer. It could be in 10 years from now. That's the kind of thing we're going to look back at JD. Hopefully he'll still be the guy there.
Yeah.
That's the best scenario. If it's still JD in 10 years, that means that's a good thing. That means there's like a dynasty happening.
Yeah. And I will say too, like, I'm not convinced that everything's going to work. The only thing, I mean, everybody can fail, you know what I mean? But my whole point is I like what I'm seeing so far. I like this manner of building a team. And we haven't done this in a long time. And I've been crying for this since the Tannenbaum days. Since 2010 started to collapse, 2011, I've been saying, dude, we need to just stop with these old guys and focus on drafting, acquire draft capital, and whether it's comp picks or trades or whatever, and build a core. And we haven't seen it till Joe Douglas. So Snoopy has a good point though. He says, I can't excuse terrible coaching regimes anymore. Everyone is terrible until proven otherwise, and that I can get with. I can totally get my head around that. We shouldn't be singing their praises until they actually do something. But I think in the same breath, I don't go all the way there with you. I don't want to call them losers and busts and frauds and all that and shit yet until they're proven that way too. You got to give them some time.
Right.
I think like before,
Yeah, right. Patience. Like not only are we starting tons of rookies, but also remember, look, Carl Lawson and Becton, like from both sides of the ball, just incredible losses. I mean, like those are 2 major losses, forgetting about everybody else. I mean, there's been tons, but you're talking about like your left tackle, your stud left tackle, who is like ready to be a Pro Bowler. And you're talking about Carl Lawson, who's about to explode, who's having the best camp of any Jet. I mean, and you're starting all these rookies, you're rebuild year 1. I mean, let's give them time to prove they're terrible. Let's give them time to prove they're great.
Yeah. I know. We just got to give them time, like, again, like there's nothing is guaranteed. And I hope I don't ever come across like that. Again, there are ways that I've wanted to see things done, and I'm finally seeing it. So I'm happy about that. Yeah. And that's what it boils down to,
At least we're setting ourselves up the right way. Like this is how you do it. It doesn't always work, but at least we're finally doing it the right way with the right approach.
Yeah. So, and it's Snoopy is going on. I see you, Snoopy. I'm not gonna get into all that, but I hear you. So, all right. Well, I think we're going to wrap this up. I want to thank everybody for being here. It's a good hang. Next week we have the Australian Dynamo Bismo Charismo popping in. We'll find out how does one from way the hell down there end up adhering to this tortured franchise. And not only that, but he's committed and he hangs out with us at 2 a.m. And I think when we start the show, it's going to be 1 a.m. for him. So he's going to be checking in at 1 a.m. to tell us his story. And I think that's going to be one to try to get here for. It's going to be fun. And I can't wait to do it. But Jeremy, why don't you let everybody know what's cooking? You got anything?
Yeah, well, we'll be back on I'll be back on with Frankie. I'm Frankie from Flatbush's channel tomorrow at 7. So we'll be talking about 7 o'clock Eastern. So we'll be talking about the game, obviously, and what happened with Buffalo. That's always fun. You never know when GreenBean's going to pop in. He popped in last night, so you might get to see his reaction depending on his mood. And also right now on Frankie's channel, you're going to start to see some pop-up videos from me, which are going to be really silly and fun. So hopefully y'all that are already subscribed to Frankie from Flatbush's channel have already seen it and will start to see those videos as well.
Nice. Yeah, I agree. I love the channel over there. So guys, we have a contest going on here. All you need to do is be subscribed to this channel and Full-Time Coaster Tour on YouTube. Once you do that, you're in. If you want an extra entry, you just go over to my Instagram, GreenBeanjetsfan, and follow me over there. You can win t-shirts and Manscaped products and all kinds of stuff. It's going to be awesome. I just want to get us up to 5,000 before the close of this year. We're rocking it, man. I've gotten 300 subscribers since I started this a little over 2 weeks ago, 2.5 weeks. So I'm happy about that. And that's the pace we need to keep. So if you're not subbed, now is a good time. And I also want to remind you that the top link in my description is taking you directly to the what the hell is it called? sportsmemorabilia.com webpage. That link takes you to the Jets site, where all the cool Jets memorabilia is. And if you buy anything there, it helps the site through that link. And if you spend more than $50, you get free shipping. And look, dude, they have everything you need in there for your sports fans for Christmas, Hanukkah, or whatever else you may celebrate. Wow, there's a bee in here. Get that bee out of here. He just landed on my computer. I'm surprised you didn't see it. It was like right here. Anyway, I want to thank you guys for being here. Thank you, Jeremy. It's always fun, buddy. And we will see you guys some other time. Have a great day, everybody.
Bye.
I think he's going to be day one, a violent vertical edge setter.
He's gonna be in the net. I see some gas off the edge. Get that mindset to put your shoulder on somebody. Dig, drop, you're finished. Hey, first down.